What's going on, YouTube? Championship week is finally here for the USFL. We made it all the way to Championship Sunday. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that it's Philadelphia Stars versus the Birmingham Stallions. That'll be 7:30 on Fox. Should be a great game. Here to break down, give the analysis, give you my prediction, some keys to the game for each team, and just kind of giving you a sense of what to expect from this one. So the Birmingham Stallions, they were the best team in the regular season. They started 8-0, finished the season 9-1, won their playoff game last week. I'm going to check the final score actually before I say that. Sorry, I'm on the tabs. Sorry. Internet seems slow today. All right, let's see. 31-17, that's what I thought. Close at halftime, but the Stallions are clearly the better team than the Breakers. Did some good things on both sides of the ball. Jamar Smith, excuse me, not Jamar Chase. Jamar Smith did a good job throwing the ball, running the ball as well. Their defense did enough. They had his first kick return touchdown of the season, and that was the difference for them. Stars, as detailed in my last video, able to win their playoff game against the New Jersey Generals, 19-14. Big games by special teams in their defense. When the Generals, the #1 team in the North Division in the regular season, to 14 points. And so we are left with the Stars and the Stallions. And I want to talk first, before I give my prediction about this game, are the keys to the game for each team. I mean, you look at the regular season stats for the Birmingham Stallions, which the postseason stats are good, but it's only been one game, so we're not going to look at those too much. They have a pretty balanced offensive attack. They throw the ball a lot, but they have some pretty good running backs. They have two guys, CJ Marble and Bo Scarborough, with over 80 carries on the season, which isn't a huge number, but that's a pretty sizable number. So I think they like to run the ball. Jamar Smith also was their fourth leading rusher, but averaged over 5 yards a carry, which is a big number for a quarterback. And I think my key for both teams is pretty simple. It's a pretty generic answer. It's pretty old school. 1980s, even 2000s, before this new run and gun era. But I think the key for both teams is to stop the run. And I think it matters for both teams, but it matters for a little bit of different reasons. I think if the Birmingham Stallions can stop the Stars from getting their running game going, which we don't know how that's going to go with Matt Colburn. I haven't heard an update. His injury status, he had to be helped off the field on Saturday. Hopefully he's good to go, because that'd be a big loss. And he's been an awesome player all year, USFL Sportsman of the Year. But also, I think what that does for the Stars, I think we saw in the second half when Colburn wasn't able to play. Of course, Cook has had some injuries, but I think their offense gets very predictable when they don't have that running game. It forces them to throw the ball deep a lot more. They're constantly just throwing the ball, and that makes them very one-dimensional. And they're a good team at throwing the ball. Case Cook's a great quarterback, but I think without that running back to at least get the threat of a run, those corners were just waiting on the pass, the linebackers, those pass rushers are able to get upfield, and it makes it a lot more difficult. So I think if the Stallions can stop the run and make the Stars one-dimensional, I think that'll be a big key for their offense. And then defensively for the Stallions, I think the key is the same. It's to stop, offensive for the Stallions. I think the key for them is to get Jamar Smith going in space, ideally get some quarterback runs, maybe some read options, get throwing on the move. Because I think, again, with that, if they can do that, that gives them an extra level of disguise or mystery, and allows them to make some more deep plays down the field, and things like that. So I think both teams have to be able to establish the run, and stop the run is a big thing. And for the Stars, I think they need to be able to stop the run, because on defensively, they need to be able to stop the run, because it allows them to do what they do best on defense, which is to sack the quarterback and intercept balls and force turnovers. We don't know how Chang's dribbling is, but even so, their defensive line is was the best statistically in terms of sacks in the USFL this year. So I think if they can get them behind the sticks and force the Stallions to throw more often than not, I think, and they can contain Smith in the pocket. I think that'll really bode well for them because they can get pressure. Even if they're not sacking the quarterback or don't getting forcing interception, you can force some of those balls that maybe, gets you a first down. Maybe it's incomplete, maybe it's a little high, or maybe he has to throw it away or something like that. So I think that's the big key. And I think on offensively for the Stars, I think they have to be making sure that they're running the ball, ideally with Matt Colburn or whoever their running backs are for the game, or at the very least, getting yardage on first and second down. I felt like there was a lot of 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, because they sometimes like to do a little too much, I think, in the first 2 downs. And sometimes I think it's worth to take a shot, but I also think there's time and place. And I think there's also times where you seem to get 4 or 5 yards on those 2 downs and set yourself up for a 3rd and medium or 3rd and short, as opposed to this 3rd and long, where then you have to do something deep and the defense can sit on it and get their guys rushing upfield. So I think those are the 2 biggest keys. It's pretty boring, but stopping the run will allow both these teams, I think, on defense, we allow them to do what they do best. And offensively, I think running the ball well for both these teams will allow them to do what they do best. And special teams could come down to both these teams had returned touchdowns last week in the playoffs. So that'll be something to watch. Special teams hasn't swung a ton of games, but it swung 2 of the playoff games so far. So can't say it won't happen. And with these 2 teams being as good as they are, clearly at it, and with the Stars having an all USFL returner, I think that could be an X factor that, at least, even if you're not scoring touchdowns, again, you're setting up field position, things like that. So I think it really is going to come down to all 3 disciplines: offense, defense, and special teams, which I know isn't a super enlightening answer, but it really is true for this game. And I think all of those are going to matter. So now for my prediction. So Fox Sports Betting, and I saw this line a couple other places, has the line at the Stallions being favored by 4.5, and the over under for points, I think it was 44.5. So 4.5 and 4.5, 44.5. I think I'm going to take the under. Am I going to take the under? I'm going to take a slight under. I'm going to say that the Stars win. Can't believe my Stars, 24-20. I think the Stars definitely cover that I don't think the Stallions cover that 4.5 spread. I think it's too tight of a game. I think as good as they've been, championship, anything can happen. Just seeing someone played against each other a ton, if at all. I have to look at the schedule, look through my notes, but I think that the Stars will do enough, force enough turnovers, and make Jamar Smith uncomfortable enough. And I think their offense will get enough touchdowns and get enough big plays to get the job done. So a slight, maybe a push. I wouldn't personally make the bet on the point spread, on the total points for the 44.5, but I would definitely pick the Stars to cover, especially a championship Sunday like this. So that's my prediction. So write it, put in the books. Stars 24, Stallions 20. I'm very excited for this one. I definitely will post my thoughts about this game at some point. I'll be traveling for the weekend, doing some scouting and things for the channel. But yeah, that's it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you think my prediction is accurate or correct. And yeah, thanks for watching.